मॉरल लर्नर्स पेश करते हैं द मुरब्बी सीरीज। इस हफ्ते मुलाकात कीजिए उस्ताद डॉक्टर बदरी नजीब बिन जुबैर से। अल-अज़हर यूनिवर्सिटी से बीए किया, स्कूल ऑफ ओरिएंटल एंड अफ्रीकन स्टडीज यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लंदन से पीएचडी किया और अरसा 28 साल से इंटरनेशनल इस्लामिक यूनिवर्सिटी मलेशिया में लेक्चरर के फराइज सरअंजाम दे रहे हैं।
Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Jazakumullahu ahsan al-jazaa. Today, Alhamdulillah, we have an eminent guest speaker, one of our mentors, although this series is ending now, and mashallah, we have a very good scholar from Malaysia, Dr. Badri Najib. Mashallah, he has done a wonderful work in Arabic language. He has a PhD from Learners University. And also, he is teaching in Islamic University since 28 years. So what, inshallah, we will try to learn from his experience, the exposure, and because what we can learn from experience of Islamic University Malaysia, because we also have a twin sister of this Islamic University in Islamabad also, because in same time the all universities came into being when here in Islamabad and in Malaysia, KL. So we normally they call it, they are the twin sisters. So we will see that what are the specialty and salient features, inshallah. So very much greetings and Assalamu Alaikum, Dr. Najeeb Badri. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm fine, alhamdulillah. We are okay here in Malaysia.
Question we normally ask from our mentors from very first one, that what do you believe is your best achievement in your whole this career?
Well, bifadlillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I think I can say that what I can consider to be my biggest achievement is actually leading the faculty of Islamic Studies, but over here we call it Kulliyah, and the full name of the Kulliyah is Kulliyat Ma'arif al-Wahy wal-Ulum al-Insaniyah. So I was, alhamdulillah and bifadlillah, was given the opportunity to lead this faculty as a dean for 3 years. And why did I consider this as a big achievement? It is because this is a combination of disciplines. Because it is not only for Islamic studies, which we normally use, the term that we normally use is actually Islamic revealed knowledge to reflect more closely ulum al-wahy, because we want to popularize the word wahy rather than Islamic studies per se. So we have 4 departments under the division of Islamic revealed knowledge, and we have 6 division of human sciences and social sciences, humanities and social sciences, and we have 1 general department that caters for the whole population of the university, teaching the fundamentals of Islamic Islamic understanding and practice. So it is a huge faculty with 11 departments altogether and more than 40 academic programs at the bachelor level, the master's level, and the PhD level. And you can imagine the number of students and also the number of staff under this university. So it was a huge challenge, and it was like a mini university within the International Islamic University. But the vision of our one of the founders of the university at that time was that in order to ensure that the humanities and social sciences are not, I mean, the influence of secularism is being checked. So he had this vision that if we want to have these departments in the International Islamic University, then they have to stay under one roof with Islamic studies, Islamic Arabic knowledge, so that the wahi will guide the way rather than the leading theories of the secularists of the West. So the idea was that whatever ideas that come from the West, we sift it, we look at it, we review it in the light of Al-Wahy al-Qur'ani and the teachings of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in his Sunnah and Ahadith. So to be able to do that and came out from it without any major so-called disaster. Alhamdulillah, everything went well during those 3 years. So it lives in my memory. Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. One of the good things which you have mentioned in your just discussion, which I understood, that Islamic University, no matter which discipline you are entering, in which discipline, so you have to go some primary subjects which is very important for you. Do you have any subject that is important subject, like before, even though I want to go social sciences or I want to go in engineering or medicine or any other disciplines, do you have any foundational subject that you have to go, this one, this is important, without this you cannot enter in your core discipline? Any, like for example Arabic or any special subject, like which are the features of Islamic University that?
Okay, so from day one, actually, the mission of the university has been summarized in 4 words. Now we rebrand it a bit. I'm going to go to the new word, but actually, essentially, it's the same. Originally, we normally we say to people that we have we can summarize the mission of the university in 4 words. Number 1, Islamization, integration, internationalization, and comprehensive excellence. So we say triple ICE. So Islamization is quite straightforward. Of course, sometimes people might think that Islamization trying to convert people into Islam. So that is not what we mean when we use the term Islamization in the Islamic University. What we mean is that whatever that we learn from others, we are open to learning whatever that comes from anywhere in the world, from the West, from the East, but it has to come through the process or the filter of Islam. So when it comes through the filter of Islam, that is how we call it Islamization. So now, when you set the filter of Islam there, so sometimes certain things cannot go through. We say this is to be rejected, but we also learn and we tell the students, for example, that okay, this cannot go through. We know what they think, we know what they understood about this, but this is not in line with what we have, our aqidah, for example. But there are certain things that can come through as hikmah, because the Prophet ﷺ says, al-hikmatu dhalatul mu'min. So it's like something that is lost from a mu'min, then wherever you get it, you can take it. So certain things might come through, and when it comes through, we look at it in which way it can benefit Islam or the service of Islam or the Muslim Ummah. So that is Islamization. And we have integration, which means that there is no such thing as secular subjects per se in Islamic University. because every single subject or discipline has to be infused with elements of Islamic understanding, Islamic faith and Islamic belief, and Islamic ethics, Islamic practices. So when people study engineering, for example, they still have to do some basic understanding of Islam and how it relates to engineering. Because if you are a good Muslim, what would be your engineering practice be? Maybe if you are a good, if you are an architect and you are solid in terms of your Islamic understanding, maybe that has certain influence on the way you design buildings and things like that. So that is the kind of idea that we have in terms of integration. And then internationalization, we are looking at the Muslim all over the world in an ummatic mindset. So we do not want people to, in Malaysia, for example, our students, Malay students in Malaysia or Malaysian students in Malaysia, to think about, you know, we are Malays, we are Malaysians. We want to be grouped together. We want to do our things among us only. We want to try to break the nationalistic tendencies, because in the end, Islam is ummatik, ummatan wahid, ummatan wasatan, ummatan wahida. So that is the concept that we want to have. So it means that our thinking is that our graduates should be able to go into various places in the world and bring that understanding as well, the ummatic mindset. And finally, comprehensive excellence, which means that we do not only look at academic excellence, but we want to ensure that, for example, we have an excellent architect who can also read the Quran, who can be the imam, who is ethical in his dealing, honest, and things like that. Committed to the service of Islam, committed to Islamic ideals. So comprehensive excellence is the last the one which actually embodies the whole thing, and we relate it to the concept of al-ihsan, in the concept that is, you know, famous in this hadith of Jibril. And now we are putting it in a slightly different way. We say khair. So when we spell khair, we have K-H-A-I-R. K-H means Khalifa. So now when we have the comprehensive excellence and we have internationalization, what do we mean by that? We want to lead towards goodness. So we have that Khalifa concept. And then A is amana. We take the amana from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want to deliver this amana and we want to execute this amana. And we have iqra. In order for us to be a good leader and to observe amana, we have to have the quality of iqra, that is to be knowledgeable, because the only way you can be knowledgeable is that you have to learn, and when you learn, there is no escape from reading and reading and reading and reading. And finally, this all brings to what the Prophet has been sent for mankind, that is rahmatan lil alameen. So KH is Khalifa, A is Amana, I is Iqra, R is rahmatan lil alameen. So now, when the students come, regardless of their specializations, they will have to take at least 3 courses on the fundamentals of Islamic understanding, Islamic belief, and Islamic practice.
No matter he's going to be a doctor or engineer, whatever discipline.
Yes, they cannot escape from this. It is a university required courses. So now that those 3 are more academic in nature, but we have 2 more that are practical in nature. So we have that like the concept of halaqah with a small group, and then somebody will be looking at how they understand it, like tutorial, more or less like tutorials. We have that. We have 2 more for that. So now we have 3 plus 2, and then we have tilawah, 2 levels of tilawah. So that's why we developed the tilawah placement test. Anybody who comes, they will have to take the tilawah placement test. If they are advanced only, they are exempted. If they are not advanced, which means that they are still struggling in terms of reading and all this thing, they will have to complete 2 levels of tilawatul Quran. And then finally, they have to take 2 levels of Arabic. So even if you have not studied any Arabic at all at school, when you come to the Islamic University, you have to take at least 2 levels of Arabic. So you have the grounding.
If a student is non-Muslim, so still he has to take Arabic?
Yes, definitely. So international students, for example, what I mean is that those non-Muslims, when they join the bachelor program, for example, they will have to complete. And these people, they have to start from scratch. At least many Muslims would have learned to read the Quran during the primary schools and also the secondary school. But the non-Muslims, they have to learn the letters and how to connect the letters, what is the shape of the letters. They have to learn from scratch. But if they don't pass, it means that they do not complete the graduation requirement. They cannot graduate.
Very much interesting thing that how you people are keeping the features and integrity of Islamization, and especially how you are integration and all this khair, like the concept of khair which you have mentioned, mashallah. And so you have a proper curriculum outlines developed, especially you, because in middle you mentioned something about halaqah. So from halaqah, I remember one thing, one of our eminent scholars, Maulana Jahangir, also asked one question, that can you explain Dr. Rosani's Hikmah Pedagogy, what they have a Hikmah, especially guide us about the Hikmah project by Dr. Rosani Hashim of the Education Department at IIU. What is this Hikmah project?
Okay, the Hikmah project, this is also one example of Islamization in action, because there is a concept in education in the West. It is a philosophy of inquiry. So it means that how do we teach, for example, the students to be to have so-called philosophical mind, in the sense that they take the, not in a sense of rote learning, but they really go into the subject and learn to look at the subject critically and analyze things. So now that concept was developed in the West. So now when it came to our university, so Prof. Roslani, for example, connects it to the Hikmah, because it means that what we are saying is that now, if it is just philosophy, where does it lead to? So for us Muslims, we cannot afford to have that situation, because in the end, anything that leads us away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to be of any meaning. So that's why the concept of hikmah is tagged there, or is integrated into that. So there is some kind of modification to the original concept, so that it suits our situation and applicable, which can be used also when we teach the Muslims. So that is the basic. But of course, if you want to know more details, I can connect you to, inshallah, to Prof. Rosdani.
Yeah, inshallah we will, because the project is very famous in our some halakas, and we normally keen to learn that
Alhamdulillah.
how it been implemented and what are the results, especially in their schools, because being implemented in some schools, and especially school in Islamic University, which is inside Islamic University in KL, they also have this thing. So how do you feel that what are the results, and especially can you achieve learning outcomes through these halakas methodology, pedagogy, halaka pedagogy? What is your
Well,
experience, especially?
okay. Now, when I say halaqah there, it's not all subjects follows that one. But as I mentioned to you, the Islamic knowledge part, there are some. I have mentioned three subjects that are more academic in nature because it concerns the understanding or the theoretical knowledge about how you should look at things in the contemporary world and things like that. But we have two more courses that are more related to the practical aspects of things, and we try to implement the concept of halaqah there, which means that it is not like a normal lecture where somebody gives but it is more interactive. We even have the teacher that we call Najeeb, for example, rather than it's like murshid rather than teacher per se, lecturer per se. So uh, and then there are some in terms of the progression from there. If we look at some of our graduates, these are the things that they when they go out they realize, and then they give us feedback that it is one of the aspects that they cherish, the memory of which they cherish in terms of the education in the university. So I think that's why we have been keeping that feature of in our education system, in our curriculum until now, from the start or the establishment of the university.
Uh, uh, Brother, can you give me some example of any halaka, any topic, for example, which topic, for example, any topic. For example, you are a Naqib, I am a student, you are
There is a
facilitating
proper
the
curriculum
halaka, and
for it.
you are a murshid. So what topic?
Mhm.
Sorry.
You know, the for example, in terms of we have the we call it in English a study circle 1, study circle 2. So study circle 1 is more on ibadat, for example, like reading the Quran or performing salawat and all these things. Of course, we have the basic salawat. It depends because when we have that interaction, it is the job of the naqib, for example, to look at more closely about the members of the circle. So even though we have the general topics that we cover, because it has to be in documented properly, for example, and because we also take marks for that, is included in the system. So for example, the halaqah 1 or study circle 1 is more on ibadat side of things, and then when we come to halaqah 2 or study circle 2 is more on akhlaq and how do we interact with people, how we interact with non-Muslims, how we observe adab and things like that.
Good. So it's more about, like, for example, the kind, because it is already planned in a curriculum in a pedagogy. So whoever is a Najeeb, he facilitates, and then after the participation, group discussion, and how the things marked also it accordingly. Good. Now, one of the specific question you already mentioned that Arabic also level 1, level 2 you have for the students. This Arabic which you have mentioned in your mainstream curricula, how they differentiate from the normal traditional? We have our traditional madrasa systems also. I don't know, you are familiar with this, our subcontinent madrasas, Arabic teaching style, which we normally go to the grammatical, not the direct method. We go the grammatical method more about that surf and nahab, and one is the direct method, like go to the hiwar, like especially designed for ghair natiqin, who are ghair natiqin. They are their mother tongue is not Arabic. So you people which you have designed this level, what strategy you have in your mind, and what is the learning outcome of these two levels which you have in your mind? What are the learning outcomes?
Okay. You see, because when the university started in 1983, so we were grappling. The university was also grappling with this issue. What kind of Arabic do we want to give? Of course, it was a quick fix that was that was applied at that time. They just take whatever this curriculum that is used in Saudi Arabia. You have Al-Arabiya lin-Nashi'in. So this book has 6 levels, and then they take the first 2 levels, and then when we look at along the way, the university has adjusted and look at the suitability of Arabic that is to be presented to the students, that is appropriate for those 2 levels. So now the 2 levels are more towards Islam actually. We are not really into vocabulary about about hiwar and communicating with Arabs and things like that. But those 2 levels, the vocabulary is more focused on the things that are related to Islam, because we feel that when the students are taught like that, so when they read the Quran, for example, they cannot, of course, with 2 levels, they cannot understand the Quran direct by themselves totally, but at least they have a kind of understanding. For example, they know that when you have certain kalimat, or sometimes in the Quran you have some basic structures, basic sentences like waja'a min aqsal madinah tu rajulun, or waja'a rajulun min aqsal madinah, for example. So and then they can make sense. For example, ja'alnakum, you have the 3 words there, because those who have not studied Arabic at all would not have recognized that as 3 words. Now, those students who have gone through 2 levels, at least when they say ja'alnakum, they know, oh, this has 3 words actually. And then, which means that when they refer to the translation, the feeling of a little bit of knowledge of the original is different from somebody who has no clue at all about, it's like you remember, okay, ja'alnakum, the meaning is like this, but how do you connect we and they or them, and which part of it is made, for example? So psychologically it has an effect. And then which is something that we also observe when the graduates, for example, when they are out there, of course they do not remember, most of them do not remember all that they have studied, but the feeling that it has gone into their head that I learned something, of Arabic before this. That I see it a lot among the graduates, because when we open up a conversation about Arabic, and then they said, "Oh, I have learned that. I wish I could." So there is a feeling that when they are feeling bad, it's good because it's like nafsul lawwama. They are blaming themselves for not remembering or continuing to remember Arabic that they have learned, which is a
So,
positive thing.
so good, good. So it means that what I understood, that actually the learning outcome is to bring them closer to Quran. So you are focusing on Lisanul Quran
Yes.
rather than business Arabic.
Yeah.
You are focusing on
That's
Lisanul
why.
Quran. So af'al of
That's
Quran,
why
which are mentioned in Quran, or the grammatical structures which are mentioned in Quran, so examples from Quran. So while they are doing, while they are reciting Quran or they are doing tilawat al Quran, so they can feel closer, or they can feel the essence of language. That's what the original purpose. And if he has interest, he can go further ahead and he can learn more Arabic if the interest develops.
Yes.
Good.
That's
Good.
why, in
And
fact, the division that handles these students, it is called Quranic Language Division, rather than Arabic Language Division.
okay,
Quranic
so it is
Language Division.
Idaratul Lisan al-Quran.
Yeah.
Good. So now, which you actually do you have in Malaysia this type of Islamic madrasas, like the structure of madrasas, any religious schools which they only focus on this revealed structures, like for example, especially focus on fiqh, usul fiqh, nahv, sarf, such type of madrasas? You have this type of structure in Malaysia?
Of course, because throughout the Islamic world, I think that is especially in the Muslim minority areas. Muslim majority areas. The influence of the Al-Azhar, and also in influence of Makkah structure. We have that. So the madrasa system were strong, especially in the first half of the 20th century. It was still strong, until the 60s. But with the current education system, because the government would like the students to be able to participate in the mainstream realm. So the government have been able to convince many madrasah leaders, for example, to incorporate the what do you call the normal curriculum, like mathematics and sciences and all these things. So now it is not something that is rare in Malaysia. Students who have a combination of Islamic subjects, they are studying it alongside the normal subjects, so that the normal academic subjects like sciences and mathematics and whatnot. So, but those who would like to specialize, of course, they have their stream. But normally, up to 17 years old, normally they will have the combination of the Islamic sciences. What I'm saying is that those who are in the religious track also, they are taking the religious subjects alongside the academic subject. So it is now not so prevalent in Malaysia when there are schools that are
I till grade 12, grade 12.
Basically
till grade 12, 13,
from 13 to 17.
13 to 17. 17 is
Okay.
probably grade 11 or grade 12 age. Is it?
Yeah, in I mean in grade 11. That is grade 11.
Then
Yeah,
after
grade 11. So now normally up to grade 11, there is a combination. After grade 11, before they go into the university, then at that part, uh, there can be a specialized track. Those who like to further their studies in Islamic studies or Arabic language, they will take those subjects only without taking the academic subjects.
Okay, so if they want to go in ulum aliya, they can go for a special like hadith and Quran and tafsir. They can
Yes.
go after grade
Yeah.
11. But till grade 11,
Mhm.
there's a one, like for example, one single national curriculum which everybody has to follow. Like primary minimum
Yeah.
requirement of the curriculum, everyone has to follow.
So it means that, for example, the national curriculum, I mean, there are some minimum number of subjects that the government require. So basically, like mathematics and history, because for Malaysia, history is very important because we have so many ethnic groups. The understanding of history and how the power relationship between these ethnic groups and also the economic relationship. So it's very important. So history is a requirement, and the national language because of for the integration. And then you have maybe science, for example. So basically, 5 subjects. But so now, if you want to go more on Islam, so you can have more on Islamic subjects. But
But these
plus
five,
those 5.
so these 5 subjects normally, other than you have English also in these 5 subjects, English language.
Yeah. English is a requirement. Yeah. English is a
But the
requirement.
other
So
4 subjects,
as I
like for
mentioned to you,
example, math, science, history, and the other language, they are in
mathematics.
Malaysian language or English language.
Okay, the national curriculum uses the Malay language, which is the national language. The national language, English language, so it's a requirement. And then we have mathematics, history. So the other one, they can choose either most schools will choose science. Most schools will choose science.
Okay, okay. So you have this type of, but now, like for example, the Arabic which they learn in madrasas is bit different. The 2 levels, initial 2 levels of madrasa are bit different from the initial 2 levels of Islamic university.
Okay, now if they are in madrasa, those who are studying Arabic in madrasa, we cannot basically now you look at the situation here. It depends on what the students intend to go into. So for example, in my case, for example, I attended the school which has that combination. In fact, I attended a government school, not a private school, private madrasa. I attended a government school that has a combination of Islam religious track plus the academic. So I chose to go beyond grade 11 into Islamic studies or into Arabic. But many of my colleagues, many of my schoolmates, for example, they went into other areas. So now, let's say some of them come to Islamic University to do engineering. The If they still retain the knowledge of Arabic, they might clear the level very easily, because normally when they come, there will be a test, like the tilawah test. We say tilawah placement test, and then we have also Arabic placement test. So it means that, for example, if they come and they take the exam, the test, and when they take the test, for example, their band is band 2, it means that it is as though they have done what they need to do with regard to Arabic, so they are exempted. Uh, how many people are exempted? Not many people, because not many in terms of the number that come. the majority would not come from the school with the combined curriculum. From the normal school that has no Arabic, it's just the basic Islamic studies, for example. So when they come and do Arabic placement test, they will not pass it. So they have to take two levels. Now, for the those who want to specialize in Quran and Hadith and fiqh and usul al-fiqh, they cannot go for 2. When they come, they have to pass level 6 or band 6. Then only can they start the bachelor program in let's say Quran Sunnah or Hadith and things like that. So it means that, for example, if they are weak at the beginning, they wanted to study Quran and Sunnah, and then when they take the Arabic placement test, they got only band 5. So what will happen? So they have to study 1 level before they start the bachelor program. So we say pre-sessional.
So it means that for Arabic studies in bachelor program, this pre-program is more higher than other programs. That you
Definitely.
have to go level 4, level 5, or level 6 Arabic. Then you can go
level
to
6.
Level 6.
Level 6.
Yeah. Level 6 means, for example, same like Arabiya lil Nashin, level 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, because they are expected when they come into the bachelor program. The teaching will not be in English. The teaching is not in national language. The teaching will be in Arabic. For example, when I teach fully in Arabic. I don't teach them in our national language.
Like,
so if they are not good enough,
which subject you are teaching nowadays? Which subjects you are teaching?
I teach. In my case, I'm in the Department of Arabic Language and Literature. So, for example, normally I teach Balagha, for example. So Balagha subject. So normally Balagha subject comes into the second year or second semester and things like that. But my colleagues who teach, for example, in the first semester, let's say Grammar 1 or what you call Morphology 1, Sarf Awal or Nahw Awal, they are not teaching in Malay. They will speak Arabic.
Okay, so it means that it is only Arabic, communication in Arabic, especially while you are doing Bachelor of Arabic or Oriental languages, or what you call it.
Not only including Islamic studies. It means that they go into Quran Sunnah, or they go into fiqh and usul fiqh, or they go to usuluddin. They will study in Arabic.
So another one thing that Dr. do you have in your university any specific faculty for tasawwuf, which covers the areas of
yes, tasawwuf is one area that feature in our curriculum for bachelor in usuluddin.
So it comes in usuluddin.
Bachelor in usuluddin, under usuluddin. Yeah, it is. There are 2 compulsory subjects on tasawwuf.
Okay, so if you want to go for usuluddin, then you have to take as a core subjects of tasawwuf in usuluddin. Okay.
Yes.
But there is no specific faculty in which that they learn only about the Sufi and tasawwuf and all these things.
No.
Okay. And what about the other relevant subjects which are coming, contemporary fields, like, for example, Islamic Gulf food and such type of things? Do you have specifics who work for only for those areas, new contemporary disciplines in finance?
Okay,
and like?
Yes. For example, now contemporary disciplines, we have one institute that is called Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance. And also we have the Faculty of Economics and Management Sciences, and in this faculty we have a bachelor program in Islamic Finance. So now this is more practice-based in the sense that, for example, in the Faculty of Economics, those who take Islamic Finance, they are learning about the instruments in the banking system or the finance system. So they are not, expected to be ulama. Those who are supposed to be ulama should come from the fiqh department. So that's why they are learning the Islamic finance in English, because it is about the what is there in the law and the practice of banking and the practice of finance. But our students in fiqh, for example, there are of course subjects that are related to al-Masrafiyya al-Islamiyya, the Islamic banking and finance, but they learn the theory, the usul, the qawaid, and all these things.
So now, because we are going to close to our prayer, one interesting question which we face in Pakistan in our Islamic schools especially, how we can make this Arabic language subject interesting, how we can integrate interest of students in this subject, more attractive, more effective, especially while, and they have to go for exam in Cambridge also, in O-levels Arabic exam also. So what do you think? What should we focus, especially grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11? What type of Arabic strategy we should focus that we can make it attractive and effective?
Okay, number one, I would say that we have to be brave enough to challenge the Turath. What I mean when I say to challenge the Turath, because in Arabic, it's a big thing to say to challenge the Turath, because people will have suspicions about, especially for me, somebody who graduated from School of Oriental and African Studies, University of London. They'll say, the moment you say you have to be brave enough to challenge the Turath, they'll say, his mind is already screwed up by this.
Yeah, coming from.
But what I mean is that, but what I mean is by that is that, when you learn a language, in linguistics we have the language system, and we have a description of the system. So if many people, if they are not specialized, they confuse between the two. We have a language system and we have a description of the language system. So now there are some people, I can say, not wise people. There are some people in the Arab world at some time back, for example, they are saying that we have to liberate the Arabic language because Arabic language is too heavy. When you have to have 2 people doing, you have to say this. 3 people doing, you have to say this. If they are masculine, you have to say this. So why can't we make it more simple, like English? So that one is wrong because it's going to change the language. We cannot change the language. But what we can change is actually the way we describe the language. So to me, if I can describe the language to make people understand better and easier in a way that is not really according to what the grammarians have said it, I don't mind, to me, because I'm not changing the language. The language will stay intact. I'm not changing the language system. I'm just changing the way it is described. So for example, I give you one basic example. So now, for example, when we say in Arabic, ذهب قرأ الطالب القرآن. قرأ الطالب القرآن. And then we can also say الطالب قرأ القرآن. In grammar, in classical grammar, you have to say that الطالب قرأ القرآن. الطالب is not fa'il, because it is mubtada, it is a subject. But قرأ الطالب القرآن, الطالب is the fa'il. But for students who do not specialize in Arabic, I don't have to tell them that. I can say that in Arabic, you can put the doer either before the verb or after the verb. So I'm, in a way, I'm not faithful to the way this is described in the classical grammar, but do I make it easier for the student to understand or not? I think yes, because they can see that, a talib, either you put it before the verb or after the verb, it is still the doer. Who does the reading? It's the talib, it's the student, whether it is put before the verb or after the verb. So I can just describe to them that, well, unlike English, where you have to put the doer before the verb, in Arabic you have the freedom. You can put the doer before the verb, or you can put the doer after the verb. So the way we describe it is different from the classical way of the way the grammarians, the Arab grammarians, explain it or describe it. Now, when we come to the other thing, language to me, what we need to emphasize is actually vocabulary. Because you see the predicament of our people when they start learning Arabic in the old way, in the traditional way. What is the beginning? They will start with Ajrumiyah. I'm not sure in Pakistan, but in this side of the world, we start with Ajrumiyah. And Al-Ajrumiyah is Anwa' al-Kalim. Now, the student, when he first start learning Arabic, he doesn't know what qalam means. He doesn't know what maktab means. He doesn't know what maktabah means. He doesn't know what sahab means. He doesn't know what al-ard means. And then you say, this is how you classify. This is verb, this is noun, this is... The words are not there yet. But for Arabs, it makes sense for you to talk to them about the classification. Why? Because they already have the words. Those who come in first year primary school, when you say qalam, the student understand, the pupil understands, because the words are already there in their mind. So now you are saying, okay, you please understand, qalam we call in grammar isim. The word is already there. He understands the word. So now, if we introduce grammar too early, it is not a logical way of learning a language. That's why, if we reflect on how we get a language, our kids, for example, when they are young, do you bother about them saying, okay, put this word first before this word? We want them to know first, okay, if you are, if you are thirsty, just say milk. If you want something, you say this. You are not going to say, okay, give me this one. Let's say he said, this one give me. We still accept it. And then when their words are already, they have a lot of words in their mind, then we say, okay, this give me. And then we can correct them and say, now the correct way to say that, you don't say this give me, you say give me this, because the words are already there. Now if you imagine the 3 years old, you try to teach him, okay, this give me, he said this give me, he said, oh, no, it's wrong, you have to say give me this. No, it's at 3 years old, you cannot do that. So now when students start from year 1 primary, how are you going to treat them? You are going to teach them how to, you just imagine some of the exercises that we see in school in year 1 primary. They put the words randomly and they ask the student to put it in a sequence. This is for year 1. We have to philosophy of inquiry. We have to use hikmah to solve the problem that is there in our own milieu, in our own environment, in our own setting. The Arabs have their own setting. We are not saying that you are wrong. You are doing it for your own setting. We have to be brave enough to do things based on our own setting to make sure that we reach the same outcome. And finally, what I want to say, for example, this is one simple thing that if you realize, it can change the way you look at things. The curriculum for bachelor, even now let me go to the bachelor level. What is taught in terms of poetry or in terms of nusus or in terms of literature in year one? People start with Jahili. Why do people start with Jahili? Oh, because in Al-Azhar it is Jahili first, and in Al-Madinah it's Jahili first. Which one is more difficult, Jahili or the contemporary literature? You know, of course, the contemporary literature easier to understand because the students can realize, oh, he's talking about the bombing of Hiroshima, maybe he's talking about Obama, maybe he's talking about Trump. There are things that they can relate, and the language is the language that is used daily. So now, if we teach them contemporary in year one, then we go something that is more complex, and we can teach Jahili year 4. So what? Because in the end, we are talking about the end result. We are not talking about the result at the end of the first year. Right?
Yeah, Jazakallah, Jazakallah. So, not initially you teach Imra'ul Qais or Himatha or something, you just teach Imra'ul Qais in the fourth one, not the initial one. And that is the good thing which I have, like the sum up is that your emphasis is the way child learn mother tongue, that is the way to teach every language. The first he will learn the nouns, and then he will learn the verbs, and then the word conjunctions, and then after that the structure of sentences. That is the way we have to teach Arabic also. And very interesting, Jazakallah, yes, the grammarian style which you have gave the example, rather than teaching them Jumla Ismiya, Jumla Failia, just teach them that this doer can come after verb also, the before verb also. Arabic works is easy, and that's good thing. Jazakallah, thank you very much, Dr. Saab. It was really interesting and very good learning from Islamic University, and you alive the interest, mashallah, that I am now more interested that to visit these universities and these disciplines, especially because the work which you people have done for integration, Islamization of knowledge, especially in the subjects of social sciences and Islamic education, and all these integrations that need to be shared in whole Ummah, and the Ummah can follow that Islamic University, the work which has been done in Islamic University. Jazakumullah khair, and all viewers, thank you very much to be with us in this our formats of Murabbis. And today, this last Murabbi was Dr. Badri Najib. Inshallah, in few weeks we are coming and announcing a new program, new format, kind of a webinar focusing on a subject. Like for example, this could be one of the subjects how we can make Arabic more attractive, more effective, challenges, opportunities, using Arabic as a core curriculum in schools, conventional education. So such type of webinars we are focusing, and we are requesting from you also, if you have some topics in your mind and you went through with our sort of eminent Murabbis all over the world, so we will invite them, 2 or 3 specific subject specialists, and they will discuss on those subjects, inshallah, and especially that resolve the topic accordingly. So thank you very much, Dr. Najeeb Badri. Jazakallah, be with us, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Jazakallah, Jazakallah. استودعكم الله دينكم وامانتكم وخواتيم اعمالكم ما شاء الله جزاكم الله احسن الجزاء بارك الله في علمك. So
It's
thank you very much. We will
honor to me.
be with us, inshallah, new formats. And Dr. Najeeb Badri, we will call you, inshallah, if you have a new format in this topic of the Arabic language. Still, some is there. So we will.
Okay.
Jazakallah. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.